Well, look here. I have Dan Simons and Christopher Chabris. Chabris, is it Chabris?
Well, that's exactly it.
Wow. So see, I'm off to a good start already. The this is an incredible moment for me because I started You Are Not So Smart as a podcast by talking to you about your titanic, incredible project, the Invisible Gorilla, and all the stuff that went into that. And by the way, I was just at a conference and I mentioned the Invisible Gorilla, and everyone there knew what I was talking about. It is like talking about Cool Hand Luke or something. Like everybody knows what that is. How does that feel?
Really strange that it kind of went viral. I mean, if we'd known that that video when we first made it was going to go viral, this was before YouTube, right? So we would have probably filmed it in better quality.
I feel so fortunate to have one greatest hit. I'll keep on playing it as long as anybody wants to hear it.
Whose idea was it to do the follow-up one where you get people who already saw the Invisible Gorilla? That's the one I
That
like
was
showing
one. That was
people.
one of mine. Yeah,
Nice
the
work.
monkey
Nice work.
business. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
It was kind of a, it was inspired by the fact that too many of my students already knew about the first one.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
Take I like that you immediately took credit too. That's good work. Well, you have a new book, Nobody's Fool. This is one of those things when you're preparing to do an interview. Um, you're like, oh, this would be pretty cool. I'll look at this and I'll think about this and I'll read this chapter. This book doesn't play well with that. There's too much stuff in it. Like every chapter has 600 examples, and within each example, 600 psychological studies and ideas that you need to know. And then, luckily, by the end of each chapter, you're like, that being said, here's some advice about what to do about this. Um, there's a lot of stuff in here that I like. I'm fond of from learning about it and talking about it over the years. Everything from the how we know what isn't so to the to Bim and his. I'm a psychic now because I studied psychics. Turns out I'm a psychic too. Um, there's tons of that stuff, and even very recent things too. Like there's the Hugo Mercier research into we're not very good at evaluating ourselves. How in the world do two people get together and get this many ideas into one book? This is a very simple question. I'm wondering how you pulled it off and how did you keep up with it?
Lots and lots and lots of notes, and over many years. And I mean, we probably have two or three times as much material as we ended up putting in the book, that never made it into the book.
How did you keep going without saying, you know what, maybe we should have like chosen something easier?
Well, the topic was so inherently fascinating, and the
Yeah.
more we got into, we had been working on ideas for books, and once I think it was Dan who suggested really like this focus. Once we got into it, I think we started to see, at least speaking for myself, I sort of
Mhm.
started to see things differently once I was looking through this lens of the different factors that scammers and con artists and deceivers exploit to take advantage of us. And I think we're hoping that's what it does for the reader. Also, it sort of gives them a different lens to look at the world, and they will start to see things differently and notice things they hadn't noticed before and understand why certain things happen that they didn't understand before, and therefore be able to protect themselves a little bit better against being scammed. And there was no desire to stop. There was more of a desire to figure out what we can take out and
Yeah.
and what's the best stuff to keep in.
There's so many books on con and podcasts and videos and movies about cons and scams, and none of them really seem to focus on why they work on the victim. I mean, what is it about the people who are scammed, and how they think and the cognitive mechanisms that they use that makes us vulnerable? And I think that's partly why the scams continue to work, is that people aren't thinking about what is it about this that's leading me to get tricked.